It's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
Hello and welcome. He is Gary McNamara. I'm Eric Harley as we begin a very special Friday on Red Eye Radio. Gary, how are you?
I'm sipping my coffee.
Are you? Yeah, I just walked in with mine. I ran down last second and made some.
Anybody got any Baileys? I mean, this is our Christmas show. This is our last show before Christmas and before we're out of here for the year.
I don't think...
Any Baileys?
I know one time at a bar restaurant at Lake Tahoe, I had a hot drink with alcohol in it, you know? But I'm more inclined if I were going to drink, just bring me the alcohol. I'll have the coffee later.
No. Baileys and coffee.
So you can hide the alcohol?
Really?
So it's socially acceptable to drink at 6 a.m.? I like that. All right, okay, I'm on board. That's fine, but I still need my tequila.
Well, you know, if you're on an airplane and you're in first class, the only thing acceptable, because it's free cocktails, right?
Right, yeah.
The only thing really acceptable if you've got a 6 a.m. flight is a mimosa or a Baileys and coffee.
Well,
you know, to sit there and go, hey, give me a double vodka on the rocks.
I never say never, but I don't drink anymore, and you know, for health reasons, and you know, just the fact that it's just wear and tear on the body. But if I'm on a flight and I ever wanted to have a drink, I don't think I've ever ordered. Trying to think, I don't think I've ever ordered alcohol on a plane. But if I did, you know, for me, the time would be 6 a.m. because it's my 6 p.m. But I would feel the need to, listen, can you ask the pilot to announce this to everybody? Hey, that guy over there, you know, I'm not in coach. I'm in the one behind coach. That's how far back in the plane I'm at. And he's just, the guy back there sitting, you know, just outside the restroom door. He's drinking this early because he works nights. And also, it's none of your damn business.
Well, you know something? I would like to drink heavily, but I can't because I get my physical, my doctor checkup and blood work twice a year.
Right.
And I think about my younger days, and every time I go there, he goes, oh, your liver's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Your liver's working very well. Really? Is that my blood work you're talking about? No, but I will, because you've quit completely, I will take up for you over the holidays.
All right.
And
I mean, there are times when I feel vacation-y. I have done a little bit of day drinking, and it's always on vacation. Like when I don't have to drive, right? Like in the area of South Lake Tahoe specifically,
right.
You can, you know, there's lots of cafes, and you walk pretty much everywhere if you're not going to drive around the lake that day. And that's, you know, I've done that before, but it's not, I don't.
Right, but understand why. I need to explain this.
Okay.
Understand why.
Okay.
I'll take up what you're not doing.
Okay.
Because yesterday it came out that moderate drinking is healthier than no drinking. So this is strictly a medicinal thing.
Right. Yeah.
It has nothing to do.
Now the study next week that says even moderate drinking causes modern drink. Here's the thing. Alcohol of any kind, when mixed with saliva, causes cancer.
but only when swallowed in small amounts over a long period of time.
Over a long period. George Carlin. You know.
Well, I saw that yesterday, but like 3 days ago, I was on X, and there was this cardiologist, and it was about, you know, wine.
Yeah.
And,
right.
you know, is wine good for your heart?
Right.
And he's talked about France and everything else. He said, but when it really comes down to it, there is no evidence that shows wine is good for your heart.
And then they do the same thing with coffee. New study says 9 cups of coffee before 10 a.m. can be healthy. It's like, well, I don't know how you define healthy. And then the next week it's, even one cup of coffee, even one sip of coffee in your lap, smelling just the smell of coffee.
Even decaf.
Even decaf. Driving by a coffee place can cause, it's, it's all over the place. It's like, I don't know.
Yeah, you're so paranoid. You're going down the road, you look, you go, oh, thank God they're picketing at Starbucks. Therefore,
Right.
I can be healthy today. I won't drink any coffee.
It's, the whole thing is I worry more and more. I mean, the older you get, it's funny. It's like now you start trying to preserve life. It's like, you should have done that earlier. But it's like, what? And you start thinking, you start complaining. My neighbor and I, in fact, today I was out there raking up some leaves and she came over. She's a lovely person. And her late husband also was a lovely man. And it was just a great next door neighbor to have. And she comes over and we're talking about things. She goes, there seems to be a rise in diseases and certain types of diseases and everything else. She goes, what do you think it is? And we talked about preservatives and everything. And, so you start late, you really start going, I'm going to cut that stuff out. It's like, look, you're 84. It's probably okay. But just keep it going. But you're on a roll. But the thing is that, I think about, all right, man, because sometimes I'll eat a fast food meal and it's like, that wasn't even food. I found out the other day, something that's in chicken McNuggets that was shocking. And that's a very low percentage of chicken. It's like it's like, ew, they put chicken in these things? Why? Now I got to rethink this whole thing.
I just like the breaded stuff.
Exactly. How's this not? And are you telling me this isn't naturally shaped? That's not how it looks on a chicken? But it's, I don't. There are times when I still go, oh, man, this would be a nice day for day drinking. Just a vacation-y kind of feel. But I immediately think of, I just don't, it's not hangovers. I can't remember the last time I had a hangover.
No, it's
just the residual effect in general.
You've got me right there. I mean, it's really interesting as you get older. I like the high of sobriety, and I hate, not that having a couple glasses of wine, listening to music, is great.
Sure.
But even a couple glasses of wine, it's not a hangover, but I wake up, and it's got to be age. Wake up with this little dullness where I don't have the same energy. I'm a little bit more lethargic.
It just changes the chemistry.
Yeah, and I feel it. I'm like, I don't like this because, and this is really horrible because I'm past retirement age.
Yeah.
But if I'm not productive in the morning doing something, and I got to get over this. I got to let this go. But if I'm not productive, I feel guilty.
Yeah.
I got to let that go.
Well, no,
I've worked my whole life. I should be able to.
Today, it was like, I had a day where there's not much going on. And then after a couple of hours of kind of sitting around, I was waiting on something, but then, doing some show prep and everything else. And it was a beautiful day. By about noonish, 12:30, it was like, I felt guilty for staying inside, which is fine. It made me productive, but I'm the same way. It's like, I need to get things done. I have my own to-do list, and it just changes, for me, alcohol just changes my chemistry. I wake up, and it's like let's kickstart the engine somehow. It's, a few sips of coffee, not too much, but you try and get things going. Well, man, if you start by waking up going, oh, man, my head doesn't feel right, Again, I can't remember the last time I had a hangover, but it just takes out, I have sugar hangovers right now. I mean, the other day, I hadn't had sugar in the longest time, and I ate something, and it was like, wow, what am I feeling right now? I mean, because I was about to go to sleep. It was like, what's going on with me? Am I getting sick again? And then it's like, oh, I just had sugar.
I'll never forget when I first was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, and I was at the Marina Club. There's a club. Hopefully they'll reopen soon. They've been closed for like 2 years.
Yeah.
But I was there, and I saw this guy who I knew, and I was eating something. I was having, I think it was the salmon. The salmon, which used to be great at that place.
Yeah.
And the guy comes up, and I said, And this is a guy I know, and you could tell he's had a couple. He has a boat out there. He's going back to his boat, but he had a few, and he's feeling good. And he said, drinking anything? And I said, nah, I don't know what to do anymore. I said, because I've got type 2 diabetes. And he said, well, I'm so glad I'm here. And he's like, vodka and soda with lime. He goes, vodka's got no carbs. He's like, and I'll have, I can have 6 or 7 of these things, and I don't have to worry about my blood sugar level. So it's like,
but there might be some other things.
But your alcohol level. The other thing, too, I'm getting together on Sunday afternoon with my buddies at Buffalo Brothers in Fort Worth.
Right.
First Bills game I'll watch all season because I just can't. They play so many late games and whatever. I just never watch. And if they play a 1 o'clock game, odds are it's not on TV. And I just, that's a work day for me.
Right.
And so I'm going to go. And it's like, okay. I might just have I may have a beer or two, and I just went, I won't be. I mean, I'm not going to be a .08, but it doesn't matter. I don't even want to drive at a .02. It's like, I don't need it. I'm taking an Uber there, whether I drink or not. I'm going to take the Uber there,
right?
And then if you have one, I am so paranoid. You know what it is? As you get older, you just you cherish what you have. When you're younger, I just don't think
you're
don't.
10 feet tall and bulletproof.
Yeah,
when you're younger,
you just cherish. You're like, I don't need the hassle. I don't need the hassle. I don't need any hassles in my life, even if I'm not doing anything wrong. I don't need any hassles in my life. And
and that's the thing, too, is that I'm getting close to the age where my dad retired as a truck driver, his second career. And I remember the day, standing in his driveway in the home they live in now. And he said to me, I don't trust my judgment. I'm slowing down. And in terms of being a commercial driver, carrying this huge load and responsibility, I think it's time, in the next year or so, I'm going to hang it up. And so I'm approaching that age, and I don't have any issues driving. Other people do. And the thing is, it's gotten so busy with road construction, and it's always changing around here. My neighborhood, close to I-35 and 635, and they're always, in any major metro area. But right now, it's all over the place, and they're moving the routes and everything else. And even 1 or 2 beers, maybe legally, I'm not drunk, but, anything that's going to, slow me down a little bit or impair the judgment whatsoever. I don't trust. It's not that I don't trust me. It's that I want to give myself every advantage, basically.
After I had my minor procedure last week, it was over 24 hours. I had the propofol, but I had that terrible head cold.
Mm-hmm.
I went to see a show, and I wasn't going to go. And I went, I got to go because I know so many people that are going. And I took an Uber there and back because I felt so sick. Even though the head cold had gone away, it was still just, I hadn't, remember, you don't sleep I didn't sleep for 36 hours.
Right.
And then I slept almost 24 hours, woke up and went, I'm just completely zonked. And I went, Uber it there, Uber it back.
Yeah, that's another thing. Too much sleep hangover. That's a thing, too, as you get older.
No, I woke up and I felt like 5 hours later, I still felt like I had taken a barbiturate.
Well, I was reading this article about bears in hibernation, came up because it's that time of year. And I thought, there's times when I think my body could shut down. I don't know about all season long, but it's working. Last week, I'm working this shift 28 years. You have to acclimate. It's required. But still, there is a cumulative fatigue effect, that if you don't stay on top of it and you're off by even 1 or 2 days in that week, it starts to add up. And I'm thinking to myself, man, I might be able to hibernate next week.
We could have done this in a much shorter segment. Just simply said,
we're old.
Aging sucks.
Yeah.
No, it really doesn't. It really doesn't.
No, I actually love the experience. I love the fact that young people always, if they look perplexed by something standing in Home Depot, they always look at me. It's like, I'm not wearing an orange smock. What are you looking at? But I mean,
I'm really livid at a lot of young people, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially like the last year or two. everywhere.
Taylor Swift fans?
The what?
No. Taylor Swift fans?
No. They
No.
come up to me and they say, sir.
Mm. Yeah, I get that a lot.
And I'm like, you SOB.
Yeah, I get that a lot. I get that a lot.
But I call everyone sir.
Yeah.
If I open a door, go ahead, sir. I do that to even if somebody is 18, I do it. But
Well,
when I get called sir, I'm like, what the hell? I'm not a sir.
Well, it's the thing is, the other night, young man at the cashier, do you need help carrying this to your car? I said, dude, it's a Diet Coke, and I'm at Quick Trip. What is happening right now? And yes, I do need help.
And then because of the arthritis in my ankle, I was walking in the store the other day, and I'm limping. I'm like, God, what the hell's going on?
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
It just was acting up. I can still do stuff. I mean, everybody knows I'm still very, very active and do a ton of things. But still, it's like you have those moments. You get up, everything's aching, the arthritis of the ankle. You go to the store, you're limping. Sir, are you okay?
Yeah, exactly. You need to call 911.
But it's
You want to lay down?
But it's better than the alternative.
It is.
That's the thing. People go, well,
It is.
how does it feel being old? Better than the alternative.
Yep.
866-90 Red Eye.
This report is brought to you by Shell Rotella. With advanced synthetic technology, is designed to help keep your rig running with more mileage and less maintenance. You may not be able to predict blizzards and ice storms, but you can prepare your truck to handle them. Make sure your truck is prepared for any last-minute winter storms by keeping tabs on your tires before each trip. Proper tire traction is essential year-round, but especially during winter when the roads are slick and roadway behavior is unpredictable. Protect your tire investment with routine checks and pre-trip inspections all winter long. Check pressure levels, tread depth, and inspect for any visible damage or debris stuck in wheel components. Look for steam or melted snow coming off wheel hubs, as this could indicate your wheel bearings are overheating. If necessary, give your tires a warm wash before inspecting them, as snow can cover potential warning signs of damage.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
It's Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Our last show of the year, our Christmas show.
Yeah.
We're back January 2nd, right?
Yeah, the night of the first,
The second.
the morning of the second.
Oh, that means I can't party on New Year's Eve.
Or you just stay drunk and take an Uber.
Take an Uber here. Gary took an Uber here.
Yeah.
You and Alan talking. Watch him. Make
He's-
sure he's okay.
He's still wearing the 2025 glasses. Should we tell him?
Well, since I haven't made it to a new year in, I don't know, over a decade,
Yeah.
I don't think I've made it to midnight. But we got a great show ahead. I mean, there's just some, good God.
Wow,
I mean,
wow.
I don't like Messi. Hey, we got Messi.
We don't like Messi.
And we're not even trying yet to cut $2 trillion.
Right.
We'll get to that coming up. The Wall Street Journal article stated the obvious that they hid Biden's cognitive problems. His staff did.
Right.
He had to cancel national security meetings. They canceled national security meetings due to his poor mental state.
We have been saying it for the longest time. He clearly is unfit to be commander-in-chief.
Yeah.
And if his own party, made sure that he wasn't going to be on the ballot any longer at that point, he should have been done as president.
I'm sorry, there should be a call to remove him right now.
Yes.
Now, because of that, which means he cannot handle.
He can't make any decisions. This, by the way, this would be the time when an enemy might act out.
Yep. And poor Fani Willis.
Oh, yeah.
Not really.
No.
That more coming up.
You're listening to Red Eye Radio. Season's greetings from the Uniden America Studios.
And he's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Don't worry, coming up on the top of the hour, I'll have my favorite Christmas present of all time.
You're not going to make people wait till the last segment of the show?
No.
All right.
I'm not gonna,
All right.
I normally do it, we cover the stories of the day.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the stories of the day, interesting. By the way, what isn't a story is the Elon Musk story that the left's going crazy about. That's not a...
Yeah, which one?
Oh, Elon Musk isn't an elected official. Why are they...
Yeah.
Well, you can pay... Congress voted on it. Congress can vote however they want.
Right.
I can say something. Trump can say Trump's not president yet. Trump can say something. Elon Musk can say something. If Elon Musk voted, then you'd have a case. But the fact is, everybody knows that Elon Musk was, has been appointed by the president to have basically a consulting group.
Yeah.
And if Elon Musk wishes to talk about it, since he does it, that's fine. But that's just the political part of it, which is just a ridiculous argument. The thing that became clear is you have members of Congress. Elon Musk was wrong when he said Democrats shot this down.
Mm-hmm.
Republicans shot this down. Conservative Republicans shot this down. Republicans that believe that they wish to cut more than the president.
Mm-hmm.
And it really came down to the money being spent that wasn't paid for and the insistence on the president of raising the debt ceiling, where you've got people like Chip Roy, Nancy Mace didn't vote for it.
Right.
And the reason is they believe if you're going to raise the debt ceiling, do it during reconciliation when you don't need as many votes in the Senate to get this passed. You can do it party line, and you get something for raising the debt ceiling. You get rid of the Inflation Reduction Act. You use that as leverage in order to raise the debt ceiling. But just to raise the debt ceiling and get nothing for it, and then have another over $100 billion in spending that goes right to the debt.
Right.
It's like, well, wait a minute, you guys. You're DOGE, and you're saying that you're serious about cutting, and you're showing us you're not. Now, the other argument is, well, Trump isn't president yet, but then the counter argument to that is it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I mean, granted, he doesn't have the votes yet in the Senate to do this, but he has actually more votes in the House. But who shot this down were 38 Republicans who they believe they wish to cut more than the president. They're basically challenging DOGE. Are you guys really serious about this? Or is this just a lot of talk and hype and hoopla? And that's one of the things that we brought early on and said, when you start talking about $2 trillion in cuts, remember, there are no cuts in this bill, and you still can't get the votes.
Right.
You start trying to get rid of the Department of Education, you start trying to cut hundreds of billions of dollars. This is what we said is going to happen, and there's not even any cuts here. But the fact is, if that happens, you're going to have pushback, and if you don't cut enough, if you don't do what you promised to do, because that's what these conservatives like Chip Roy are saying. You said you're going to come in here, and you're really going to cut. And they understand the fact that you may not be able to cut right now, but don't raise the debt ceiling now.
Right.
Then raise the debt ceiling down the road when you can do it during reconciliation, and you can get something for raising the debt ceiling.
Right.
And it's an interesting argument, because the argument, if you're going to, and I haven't heard anybody, Chip Roy's a rhino. And I'm like, okay, then that's what we talked about when we got called rhinos about a month ago by a guy, and we said, well, we're not Republicans. We're independent. We vote in the Republican primary, as you can do here in Texas, but we're not registered Republicans, and I haven't been since 2006, I believe. You remember that. You remember 2006 when I lost it with Republican spending.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but I said if we were Republicans, we would be rhinos because we're too conservative for the Republican Party and where it's going.
Well, and that's the thing, and I'm waiting for them, to, I don't know, it may have happened and I missed it on X, because the thing about the vote was I was just laying down, and then all of a sudden, they're going to a vote. Trump wants it done tonight. I'm like, okay, I guess we're awake for a minute. And then it didn't happen. I was like, well, good night. Yeah. The thing is that I'm waiting for these 38 never Trumpers need to be primaried next time around. I mean, because that's where the chatter's been. It's like following the world's fastest, not bouncing ball, but ricocheting ball that just keeps ricocheting and getting faster and faster. The thing is that we understand politically what you can do, what you can't do. But the whole debt ceiling thing takes this thing down over and over again. And with Elon Musk, posting on X, this lies squarely on the shoulders of Hakeem Jeffries and his party, the Democrats, because only 2 Democrats voted for it. I thought, no.
That was a horrible take by Elon Musk. And that's not the take on this.
It's because we've said it multiple times since the election. Your issue is going to be building consensus in your own party, especially on spending.
Let's play this audio here from Chip Roy, and this is when the second plan was presented, I believe, before the vote.
Yeah,
here we go. Okay.
I was just texting with my son back home in Austin, who I haven't seen in quite a long time because I'm here trying to fight for him. When I got through cancer about 12 years ago, I made my promise to my kids that I would do everything I can to save this country. And what we're doing right now is to continue to double down on the things that are destroying the republic. We are going to increase the debt ceiling, not just $4 trillion, that's false. We have spent $4.7 trillion in additional debt in the last 19 months. We're going to increase the debt by $5 trillion. That's what's going to happen right here by Republicans, increasing the debt $5 trillion. And what are you doing in the same bill? $110 billion unpaid for, because you never have any ounce of self-respect to go out and campaign saying you're going to balance the budget, and then you come in here and pass $110 billion unpaid for. On top of the $200 billion you did for WEP, you guys won't agree with that, but the fact of the matter is $330 billion. Congratulations, you've added to the debt since you were given the majority again on November 5th. It's embarrassing. It's shameful. Yes, I think this bill is better than it was yesterday on certain respects, but to take this bill yesterday and congratulate yourself because it's shorter in pages but increases the debt by $5 trillion is asinine. And that's precisely what Republicans are doing. I'm absolutely sickened by a party that campaigns on fiscal responsibility and has the temerity to go forward to the American people and say, you think this is fiscally responsible. It is absolutely ridiculous. It also turns off PAYGO. It turns off the $1.7 trillion in automatic cuts under PAYGO, because this side of the aisle is profoundly unserious about actually reducing deficits, just as my colleagues on the other side of the aisle are profoundly unserious about reducing deficits. The entire body has been racking up debt for my entire life. $36 trillion, $1 trillion of interest. We rack up $1 trillion every 100 days. Now, what are we going to do about it? We're going to run around and talk about cutting taxes, but not doing what's necessary to cut the spending along with the cut taxes. My other side of the aisle, my colleagues will say, oh no, we got to increase taxes, but we'll do anything to cut spending. And so here we sit in the same mess. And I got to be honest, I want to remind people, this is Article 1. I yield back.
Nothing I can add to that.
No, but that is a broadside attack at Trump.
Oh, yeah.
Not just
because
Congress. That's a broadside attack.
That was where the campaign, that's, again, if you promise the American people something, you have to deliver. Well, what's the whole idea on DOGE? We're going to cut.
Yeah.
We're going to go to work. We're going to get a couple of business guys to give us the entire list by July of 26, and we're going to take that and we're going to campaign to make all these cuts. It's going to be a great public awareness. You and I have been sitting back going, wait for it.
Well, I said yesterday politically, I said, why did they go there? They didn't need to. I'm not saying they shouldn't cut because you and I believe they should cut. We're just talking about how hard the process is. But politically, you and I said, okay, they're taking an aggressive stance, by bringing, even before the election, we're going to cut $2 trillion. You had Elon Musk and Ramaswamy and Trump was talking about that. We're going to cut. You didn't need that to win the election. The public was not asking. The public is not demand. The public says, yes, we wish to cut the debt and we wish to cut spending as long as you don't touch it from anything that I get.
Right.
But the public was not screaming for $2 trillion in cuts. That was something that they said they were going to do, which made a lot of people like us and Chip Roy saying, okay, they're going to be serious. Because if you're going to cut $2 trillion, I'd say you're not going to get there. But if you can cut $100 billion or $200 billion a year, that would be great. Right. And for the conservatives that are actually, and this is the problem that Musk and Trump have on this, these are people that are saying, we bought into what you sold us.
Right, exactly.
Now, where is it here? You're influencing it here. Why are you raising the debt ceiling instead of doing it later on when you actually can do it during reconciliation and you have at least more power to do it? But here, you're raising it, and then you get rid of pay-go, which means whatever you spend, whatever in additional you spend, if there's not the revenue there, you have to have cuts for it.
Right.
You're not doing that. You've waived that. So how serious are Elon Musk, Ramaswamy, and Trump when it comes to cutting? That's what Chip Roy and the conservatives are saying. And as you said earlier, what is the response going to be from the Trump surrogates? We're going to primary Chip Roy and put somebody in there that will follow the president's agenda and spend more money.
Right. Where do you go with it?
Not going to work.
You're going to call Chip Roy a never Trumper?
Yeah.
That doesn't work.
Or Nancy Mace.
Or
never
Nancy
Trumper.
Mace. You look at the makeup here, based on the 38 votes. That's 16% of the House. So if there were a poll, how many Americans are very serious about cutting?
16%.
It's 16. 84% are not serious about cutting. That's the math right there. If you base it on how the votes went down, those 38 out of the 235, 16%. There's your poll.
It's not really because you've got the Democrats too. So so it would be
out of the entire.
It would be 8%.
I'm talking about Americans, not just the GOP, not just the party.
Well, yeah, but you're extrapolating from a congressional vote to what Americans think.
That's why I'm saying that. It's based in on the numbers of how many districts there are, based on how many people actually fought.
Yeah, but there's not 235. There's 435.
Yeah, 435.
Right. That's
yes, 8%. I'm sorry. Yes,
right,
yes,
right,
yes.
Exactly.
Right. Sorry. 435.
You forgot the Democrat votes.
Well, by the way, breaking news, it just got worse.
I should have shut up.
No, no, seriously, 8% or closer to 8%, maybe 9%.
Well, that's why we've been saying stop the hype and hoopla and cheerleading and talk about that this is going to be a tough thing to do instead of, in a way, you and I said, you're trying to make it sound easy like these guys have found this secret way to do
exactly.
it. And there is no secret way to do it. You're going to have to get the votes from Congress.
Right.
And that's why it's going to be so tough, and it's going to be messy, and it got messy. It got real messy.
I don't know
and
where
Trump isn't even in office yet.
I don't even know where the remedy is on this. I really don't.
866-90 Red Eye.
Coming up, more with Gary McNamara and Eric Harley. It's Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Dominic Pino from National Review wrote, Republicans must raise the debt ceiling to prevent default, but they can wait until next year to do so when they will have control. And Roy is right that when they raise it next year, it should be part of a legislative package that includes spending cuts, such as full repeal of the so-called Inflation Reduction Act, a rescission of unspent funds from the American Rescue Plan Act, reforming the suite of anti-poverty programs that currently cost $30,000 per person in poverty. And he goes on to say the rest of it, saying, no, you've got to use that as leverage.
Right. You got to get something out of it.
Top of the Hour News is brought to you by House Products. Visit houseproducts.com.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America, we are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Well, it was many, many years from now, or many, many years ago, not many years from now, many, many years ago. And I probably look like the kid from A Christmas Story without the glasses.
All right.
And so it was time. I don't know how old we were, probably 9, 10, something like that.
All right.
And so it was time that Dad took us to the department store where we could buy the presents for each other, for my siblings. And they could do the same for me. So we get to, I think it was SS Kresge we went to. Kresge. I got to stop drinking. I have to stop celebrating.
Or drink more.
And so he lets us loose. Go ahead. Find something for your siblings, your brothers and sisters. Well, my brother immediately, I'm looking around. I'm, buying whatever I can. And my brother comes down, and he's got this paper bag, and he's like, I got you the best gift you're ever going to get, ever for Christmas. Mm-hmm. I got it for you. You're going to love it.
Yeah.
And he already paid for it and everything.
Right.
My dad didn't even know.
He's the only one in the know. Yeah. Your brother.
My brother. He's, and my brother, just so you know, what my brother is like, in high school, I got called down to the truancy office.
Yeah.
And the truancy guy said, we have it that you skipped study hall last week. Now, I had not skipped study hall.
Right.
I had not skipped. I did not skip. Right. And I said, I didn't skip. And he said, well, we have it here. You did. And I said, well, you can ask anybody in there. I did not skip. And he said, are you John's brother? And I said, yes. And he said, guilty as charged. So that's what I had to follow in my life.
Exactly.
But so he's got this grin on his face. And I'm like, well, what is it? He goes, I'm not going to tell you, not going to tell you. So we get home and not going to tell you. He wraps it up, not going to tell you, not going to tell you. But it's the best gift ever. I mean, my sisters are wanting to know what it is. So Christmas morning, I don't know how early we got down there. I don't know, 5:30, whatever. We're down the stairs, and I go right to his gift. And before anybody else opens their gifts, I rip that thing open. And what is it?
Yeah.
It's a miniature model French guillotine.
So, scaled down version.
Scaled down version, yes.
Of a guillotine. There
yes.
you are.
There we are.
You and your brother, your sisters.
My sisters.
There.
And so
parents are nowhere to be found.
No.
Still sleeping in.
Still sleeping in.
It's still dark outside.
Still dark. So we run up the stairs with it because we didn't talk about it, but we knew my parents would probably not approve. So nobody else opened their gifts.
This is the contraband gift.
Yes. So
this one's not going to pass the standard.
So we run up the stairs, go into the bedroom. My sisters are there, and we put this thing together, and, there's there's the plastic man that you lay down and the head that can sort of detach, and there's this little plastic blade that comes down. I'm telling you, everybody wanted their turn, even my sisters. I mean, it was glorious on Christmas morning to decapitate the plastic man. Well, then, you sort of get bored with it. It's like,
how many tries? I mean, how many did everybody get to take their turn on the decapitation thing?
Yes, everybody got to take their turn.
Because it's Christmas.
If memory,
got to be in the Christmas spirit.
If memory serves me right, by the time we got to about 7 o'clock, when it was getting maybe a little bit light out, one of the neighbor kids came over, too, to participate in it. Apparently, someone called. But then, you get bored with it.
Mm-hmm.
The initial excitement of the Christmas spirit of your own scaled-down model guillotine with the plastic man with the detachable head, it becomes a little bit boring. You got, the imagination starts going, and someone comes up with a great idea. Hey, let's go down to the refrigerator and get some ketchup to make it more realistic.
We got to ramp this thing up because this doesn't feel gruesome enough to me.
Exactly.
We need more gruesome in this equation.
It was a hollow plastic head.
Yeah. Okay.
It must be known.
All right.
And
then at that point, the toy maker was just asking for it.
To make a short story longer, so all of a sudden there we are. I mean, completely just mesmerized by this thing, and the door opens, and it's my mother and father.
Dun dun dun.
I can still hear my mother. What is that?
There's fake blood everywhere.
So the
Heinz fake blood.
So we had to put it. We had to disassemble it, clean it up, put it back in the box.
Yeah.
Mom screamed, "You're taking that back tomorrow morning."
Oh.
She confiscated it, and then it became the worst Christmas.
Yeah.
So then the next day, we went back and returned it, and I got myself a nice Vietnam-era Sikorsky attack helicopter.
Awesome.
Yes.
Totally different.
So there you go.
I like that.
And the best thing is I'm going to get emails on this like I do every single year when I tell it.
Mm-hmm.
And I've actually, there are listeners that have let me know, I got, my brother got me that too. Not for Christmas, but just for other, I got that too. I had the mini guillotine. And then I will get people going on the internet and going, is this the one? Is this, because it still exists. You can still find it on the internet.
Wow.
You can still buy the guillotine on the internet.
Well, in Canada, it was very popular because the day after Christmas, people may not know here in the States, the day after Christmas is beheading day. No, it's Boxing Day.
Boxing Day.
Okay,
Beheading
never
Day.
mind.
So, that was the best Christmas. Yeah, the Red Ryder BB gun sounds a lot tamer, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. When I was 10, I got a guitar, and it was out of the Sears and Roebuck catalog. For those under the age of 90, Sears and Roebuck was a department store when you could get, it actually had departments. You could get everything at Sears except for groceries. And I remember seeing it in the catalog. And it was a Strat copy. Now, I was 10. I didn't even know what a Strat copy was, but it looked like the guitars that I'd been seeing on posters everywhere. And I didn't play yet. So I told my mom, and I knew I was shooting for the moon because my birthday is 10 days after Christmas. So it's a hard crunch for my parents at that time. One income family, most of the time, in fact, growing up, a one income family, 5 kids. I got it. I did the math, but yet I still pointed at it in the magazine. And then the box was odd shaped because it's not shaped like a guitar. It's like a weird kind of almost triangular when they come in the box thing. And I didn't recognize that. I didn't know what a guitar box looked like at that time. So but somebody's getting a big gift. And they unboxed it, and I looked at it, and it was like, man, I owe my parents a lot.
Wow.
You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like I felt that I was like, man, I'm going to have to, maybe I could mow the lawn or help out. Because it was it was $109, which was a lot of money.
Yeah. Wow. It was a lot of money.
76.
Yeah.
And I traded that guitar to later when I became an actual musician, a great musician friend of mine. And then it was stolen from him that I learned that years later. And still to this day, if I could find that guitar, I'd offer the reward and give it back to my buddy Jason.
Oh, wow.
Because it was so special. And Jason made it even more special. He, in terms of a technician, he's still to this day just a genius and a genius player too. And there's a picture I have of him playing my guitar, and it's one of the most cherished pictures, aside from kids, grandkids, and family in my life. But it was just that moment that, oh my gosh, they did it. I mean, I wasn't really expecting it, but they did it. And my mom said to me, "You're going to rock your eye out with that thing." So,
well, the best thing I ever got that was electric football, because you thought it was going to be better than, remember the electric football?
And every time you lined them up again, somehow you were telling yourself in your mind it was going to end differently when you turned it on. And they always buzzed around, bzzz, and they just moved in random directions.
And then we got the table hockey, and I'm talking about the sticks with the players with the
right,
with the sticks and everything else. That I probably we used that for years. I mean, we had tournaments with that.
Yeah,
that probably was the best gift as a kid that I ever got.
Right.
Again, the guillotine, we wouldn't have been using it the day after. That was just the initial curiosity.
Yeah, right.
of beheading a plastic doll.
Yeah.
But that, I'm sure we wouldn't have even paid attention to that. But the hockey was it. I remember getting a hockey stick too. That was a huge one. But
the Evel Knievel action figure, don't say doll, that I got when we lived in San Antonio.
That you destroyed.
And we'd go out on the back porch. It's a brand new house. So we basically just had a square slab for the back porch, right? And a lot of backyard. I mean, maybe I remember it bigger than it is because I was so small. But I got this thing, and it had this little launcher, right, that you would rev up, and then you click the button, and then he goes. And most of them went like, the Snake River Canyon thing. It just didn't happen. And it's like, okay, like how do we make this more exciting? Well, a book of matches. That was the answer. And Mom always had a book of matches sitting on the back of the stove, a box of them. And I'm like, well, it's right there inside the kitchen door off the porch, so I'm just going to reach in and grab that. Hope no one is in the kitchen, which it's Christmas Day. Now I'm wondering why my mom wasn't in the kitchen on Christmas Day. But in that moment, nobody was in the kitchen. I grabbed the matches, and I go back out. And I'm thinking, and he's got that, mine had this little cape attachment to it. And, because every once in a while, Evel Knievel would wear a cape. I don't know if he ever did on any of his jumps. But, in public appearances, it was like when he would come out before a jump. Occasionally he had this cape thing. So his outfit is on. He's got this jumpsuit. And, Evel Knievel back then was the man. Daredevil. You could watch his jumps on TV. Crazy. And I'm thinking, well, this has got to get more exciting because I can't launch this the way I need to launch it. So we're going to set it on fire. Well, I tried, but it basically just melted the back of the outfit, which was that weird nylon stuff, non-flammable. Whose idea was it to have non-flammable stuff around kids? For the love of Christmas.
What do, melt?
it basically just melted. I'm like, oh, they're going to know. They're going to know I tried to set it on fire because there's no other answer. It wasn't spontaneous combustion. So, anyways, I just kind of wrapped him up. I took a G.I. Joe outfit and actually put it over. So he had this weird orange-looking military outfit, and mine's the only one that had that because of, the fire attempt, and he wore that for a while.
And there you've heard it. Bizarro memories of Christmas morning from Eric and Gary.
Yeah. Lovely.
866-90 Red Eye.
Brought to you by FPPF, Fuel Power Max. Managing time is key. Successful owner-operators know that simply running hard is not enough. If it were that easy, anyone could do the job and expect the profits to roll in. It generally pays to slow down. There is a trade-off in higher costs, not to mention the increased risk for driving fast. If driving slower takes time away from you, you could find some of the ways to get it back. Never take time off during the last 2 weeks of the quarter or the last week of the month, when freight typically is abundant. Sometimes it works to your advantage to look for loads that take you through home rather than to home. The latter can interrupt your revenue stream and require additional time to get back up to full speed again. Owner-Operator Business 101 is provided by Overdrive's Partners in Business program. Go to overdriveonline.com to the Partners in Business section of the website for more details on this and many other topics. Brought to you by Shell Rotella, with advanced synthetic technology is designed to help keep your rig running with more mileage and less maintenance.
Lines open for your calls. 866-90 Red Eye on Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. What's going on with Fani Willis and the prosecution of Trump there? We will get to that. Also more on the continuing resolution, the debt ceiling. Let's go to Chris in Kansas City on that. Chris, welcome. You're on Red Eye Radio. Welcome to the show. Hi.
How are you?
Very good. Very good. What's up?
So if I was in government, I would phrase it very simply to the American public. In 2018, we spent $4.1 trillion. In 2019, we spent $4.45 trillion. Then COVID happened. Spending went up $6.5 trillion, $7.2 trillion. Next year's budget's $6.75 trillion. Why are we not just going back and saying, hey, guys, we were spending $4.45 before COVID started. COVID was a temporary deal. We're out of COVID now. Where's all this extra money? We added a gargantuan amount to our budget under the guise of this is for COVID. But that dollar amount has never gone away, and we continue to use it as a baseline. Where is all this extra money going that we're now spending that we weren't spending in 2018 and 2019?
Well, no.
I don't understand why we can't get back to those numbers.
Well, because, for example, after the American Rescue Plan, after you spent the money then the Inflation Reduction Act came up, which is spending trillions of dollars and expected to spend trillions of dollars if that isn't repealed. In fact, that's why you had people like Chip Roy saying that we need to repeal it, because on the climate change thing, what they initially said the cost was going to be was way lower than what the expected cost of that particular bill is going to be. And the way they arrange that bill, they have authorized additional spending for the Inflation Reduction Act, which has nothing to do with inflation reduction. Plus, everything for the government now costs roughly 20% more than it did because of inflation. So any plan that they had, any military program, they have to increase the spending on it because of inflation. All the salaries, the unions, all the salaries of that's figured in there too. More for that. But one of the biggest drivers is back in 2017, 2018, we only had roughly, I'm doing this from memory, roughly $300 billion in interest. Now it's $1 trillion. So that's another
Sure.
700 billion a year.
Every 100 days.
Another 700 billion in interest alone that we're spending. And I don't have it in front of me. We probably could sit and lay it out, look at all the budget allocations and actually figure out what it is. But yeah, there's been a lot of additional spending since that point. And
but Chris, you make the you make the point that look,
just on a side note, the fact that we are able to call a bill an Inflation Reduction Act while spending $2 trillion shouldn't be legal. That should be a slap in the face. Inflation Reduction Act, fellows, is a decrease in spending, not an increase in spending.
Oh, absolutely.
That actually makes inflation worse.
Yeah, absolutely.
That nobody talks about this.
Absolutely. Thank you, Chris.
We did talk about that. Believe me, we talked about that when it came out.
Is Chris calling us nobody?
Yeah, nobody. We're the nobodies who talked about it. Yes, thanks so much. Appreciate it.
This holiday season, give the gift of the Red Eye Radio app. Merry Christmas from Gary McNamara and Eric Harley. Red Eye Radio.
Merry Christmas.
Ho.
Hey, Gary.
Yes.
Speaking of Christmas.
Yes. Let's hear about it.
Our friends at Truckers Paradise. This is a brand new, it's a trucker's destination. It's not just a truck stop. It is a trucker's destination right here in our backyard, just up the road in Gainesville, Texas. They've got their big grand opening just around the corner, but they are open right now. And want you to know, truck drivers, they have a free Christmas dinner. If you're out there on the road, plan your route to Truckers Paradise, again, in Gainesville, Texas. This is on I-35, Gainesville, Texas. It's on, it would be on the west side of I-35. And 4321 North I-35, Gainesville, Texas. You got to check it out. Man, this thing is great and getting better every single day. In fact, so much being added every single day. But they've got a Christmas dinner for drivers who are going to be on the road. All right, that's happening from 1 to 3 p.m., December 25th on Christmas Day, 1 to 3 p.m. So plan your route, drivers. If you're going to be in that area, stop over at Truckers Paradise, Christmas Day dinner for free, exclusively for truck drivers. And we thank you because, I mean, you're out there delivering the goods even after Santa's done. So we greatly appreciate that. We know the sacrifices you make out there on the road. And let them know, you can let them know actually that you're coming. You can send an email to marketing@truckersparadise.com, marketing@truckersparadise.com. Give them a heads up. But again, it's Christmas Day from 1 to 3 p.m. at Truckers Paradise in Gainesville, Texas, 4321 North I-35, Gainesville, Texas, Truckers Paradise. A free Christmas dinner from 1 to 3 p.m. on Christmas Day, just to say thank you.
And it's it has to be tough to be working on Christmas Day. I've done it before, many times before. I mean, you and I are off now, but only really in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
Thank you, Paul, our agent. Really, I mean, that we get, this off. I've worked so many.
Oh, yeah.
So many holidays. And I think about, the first responders, police officers, firefighters.
Yeah.
And
truck drivers could be halfway across the country from home.
Yeah.
Not just are they working, but they could be days away from getting home. Many of them. So it is greatly appreciated by all of those who work and so that on Christmas Day, as you mentioned, with first responders and the police that are working, I have a nephew that's working actually, and he told me, he's a police officer, and he told me, just kind of working around, I'll have an hour or two at the house, and then later, after my shift, come home and we'll do some more Christmas things. And they have children, but, he understands what the job requires. He hasn't been doing it for 20 or 30 years, so he's still a bit of a rookie. He's been out there for several years, but he understands that sacrifice, and you have to when you're on the job, whether you're a police officer or first responder, a truck driver,
NFL player,
NFL players,
NBA.
Oh, yeah, exactly. I heard the Dallas Cowboys are going to be busy on Christmas Day. They got tickets to a game, but it is it's always greatly appreciated. It really is.
Yeah, I've spent a few Christmases alone.
Mm-hmm.
I was younger, when it happened, and so like everybody who has to work it, the vast majority handle it, but it's still not. I was working out of town and had no family. I mean, I've had Christmases where, I in the apartment all day.
Right.
And that was.
I remember those times. I remember even as a husband, father, this one Christmas that I spent alone, and I remember calling my wife, and she just had one question for me. Why did you plan a ski trip alone on Christmas? And when are you coming home?
Yeah.
I mean, all those times in the younger years where it's kind of, well, for our generation, it felt like you were building, onto the, building seniority, whatever it is, where you get to the point, and one day you'll have, of course, Christmas off, but it wasn't even about that. It was about, all right, this is part of the job. I'm required to be here, like in radio. You're going to be on the air.
For me, I always looked at everything as an adventure. So if I was alone, it was like, oh, okay, this is something new, and there were memories that I have from that are all positive, good memories. But when I heard Seinfeld about 6 months ago in an interview say this, and I went, that was me.
Mm-hmm.
That was me early on in my career. He said, I never thought I'd make a great deal of money, but I was going to do this if I could just barely survive. And that's what I was doing. And that was I just wanted to do this so bad, where there was no I didn't view anything as a sacrifice. It was just, I was happy to be working, and doing this. And as I said, some of the great memories of working all day Christmas, but then, being alone when you got home, that was the time I talked about, the couple of times, and these were much smaller markets. You weren't making anything.
Right.
It was like being in minor league basketball. And I remember the one year was when I had the apartment with the cockroaches in the refrigerator,
mm-hmm.
and the fire ants coming up through the floorboards.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I was still happy because I was doing what I wanted to do. So I view myself, and I look at my life, and I say, I was in my 20s. I was happy. It was just another adventure. But, you get older and you have to do it. It's a whole different ball game when you get older and you want to be with your family. When you be, for me, everybody knows it. I mean, my dad's, will be 99 in April. There's no choice. I have to be off for Christmas. There isn't a choice in that. Mm-hmm. I need to spend a few, days with them because we all know they're limited.
Yeah.
And it could be me going first. Who knows? I always sit there. I don't do that anymore and go, well, when my parents go, and it's like, hey, you know how old you are? Your parents have lived, my father, my mom died a few years ago, but your father's lived so long that you're old.
Right.
It's like, oh, that's right.
Exactly.
I could go first.
It could happen.
But you want to spend it with family, and friends. Had a great time yesterday. Delivering banana bread to some dear friends of mine. Someone who I actually call my adopted daughter, even though legally she's not adopted. That's what I refer to her as, and very, very important. That I do that. It's just, and to me, that's what makes it. It's just interacting with all the people that you love, and so. Yeah. I know how tough it is for people if you're out and about and you're a truck driver and you can't get home for Christmas. Yeah. Especially if there's extenuating circumstances and you plan to do it and you can't.
Well, because if you're not driving, you're not getting paid in a lot of those cases, in most of those cases. And if you're not on the road, you're not making money. And so trying to plan around it, everybody, it's like with any career, everybody wants Christmas off, right? But
Yeah,
it's, again, then it's, well, the bills still have to be paid, including Christmas and then beyond Christmas. And
Yeah. People who work in
so,
hospitals, they
yeah.
have to go in and do it. And I know a lot of them knew it, and they've done it for a while.
Yeah.
I still think of them because, they're sacrificing to help society. You and I talked about it before when we have talked about, first responders and the incredible things that they do and soldiers. And I remember the response used to be from the haters out there. Well, they chose it. So then, no, the fact that they chose that
Exactly.
is why I admire them.
Right.
Because they chose it
Yeah,
knowing.
they're not doing it just once. They're going to do that in many cases for a career, for many years. They're doing it over and over, and they chose to do that. That takes something different, and it is greatly appreciated. It is always appreciated by a free society as we look, for the government to keep us safe. Even though many right now believe, you think of the Biden story. It's something we've known and we've witnessed, millions have witnessed, and now it's coming out more and more. His cognitive issues are very serious. Well, we've known that. These were not flubs and everything else, but a free society wants to feel, not just on Christmas Day, but on every day, that at least the effort is being made and the people in charge, locally all the way up, are competent and want to be there. That's the point on people who choose to serve and everything else. But Biden, I don't think he cares about the job. I don't think he cares about his legacy. And the cognitive issues on top of that, it's just mind-boggling, to think about it. And we still have, a month from today.
We'll get into talking about the Biden story in the Wall Street Journal yesterday, where, the Wall Street Journal, and nobody's denying it. You saw,
right?
Did anybody deny it yet?
I didn't see anything.
Anybody deny
it.
That Biden actually could not be in national security meetings. They had to cancel national security meetings because he couldn't handle it. I read that. When I read that yesterday, I said, and I don't want Harris to be president, but he needs to resign.
Yeah. No, he needs to be done.
We said this earlier. He needed to resign before this, but after that story came out, and there's not going to be any pressure, and that's a problem. That's a problem because you have to get Democrats aboard on this, and if Democrats wouldn't get aboard now to say, look, you need to step down, because if this guy cannot, if you have to cancel national security meetings, and it wasn't one, it's multiple. And this story from the Wall Street Journal, talking to 50 different people around him, is absolutely so damning. I read it and I went, and I didn't even hear a call saying from anybody in Washington, we know it's only a month. He's got to get out now, though.
Right.
He's got to get out now because you just sent a warning to every one of our enemies that this guy does not have the cognitive abilities to respond if we have to something military in the world, that we have no confidence as Americans that he's the one making the decision. And so even you think about that story was so damning because Americans don't know who's in charge.
Yeah.
When any of these things happen.
Right.
You saw the, here in the last couple of weeks when, we were involved in some attacks. Who ordered that?
Right.
Biden doesn't know what the hell's going on. You think you can sit there with the military map and sit there and go, okay, let's go over what's happened in the Middle East or this particular thing or what the Houthis are doing or Hamas, and Biden actually has the cognitive abilities to understand that when he can't even be in national security meetings?
No. There's zero confidence in his ability.
And this is the rot, and this is the filthy rot inside the Democratic Party, because nobody's calling for him to get out. I mean, they kicked him out. They knew it.
That's the thing, too, is that his own party knew it, but they couldn't go the full measure. But it requires going the full
Full
measure.
measure.
If he's not competent to run, he's not competent to serve. Now.
And then Harris can become president, immediately found not competent, and then Mike Johnson becomes the president, and we solve that problem of the speaker.
Exactly. But the debt ceiling still goes up. We're so doomed. Merry Christmas.
866-90-RED-EYE.
Get in touch with Red Eye Radio, toll free at 866-90-RED-EYE.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. We'll talk more about that Wall Street Journal article yesterday about they all knew about the cognitive problems.
Yeah.
And the administration was pathologically lying about Biden's condition really for the last 4 years. As we all knew it. We all knew that it was happening, but the Wall Street Journal with that article sourced from 50 different people yesterday, and I did not hear anyone again dispute it. And the interesting thing is Democrats screaming, "Where's Biden? Where's Biden? Trump's out there every day. Where's Biden? How come he's not a part of this budget?" Do you people are you? I mean, what is the drug you're doing?
Yeah, it's
What the hell is the drug that you're doing?
And then the gaslighting and virtue signaling along the way. F you if you can't handle the truth from Joe Scarborough.
I know.
And your eyes aren't seeing what your eyes are seeing. How dare you?
This is the best version of Biden ever.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America and around the world, we are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Merry Christmas. Looking here, all of a sudden, there may be a chance.
Yeah.
Might be a chance of a white Christmas in Buffalo.
Oh, wow. All right.
Because now when I fly in Monday night, they say 1 to 3 inches of snow expected.
Okay.
I fly in Monday evening, high 32, low 29. Then Tuesday, though, some of it probably melt, 36, 31. But they say chance of snow still 50%. If there's snow on the ground, it might be around, at least for Christmas Eve.
Okay.
And then Wednesday, 36, 28.
All right.
So, and by the way, no, 1 to 3 inches of snow does not close the Buffalo airport.
No.
Not even close.
Right. Does it even get a mention in the weather forecast on TV?
Well,
we have a minimum of a foot of snow.
You know what happens in Buffalo?
Yeah. What?
It's all Buffalo is a market in television media where people come through and don't last long because they jump up to a larger market.
Right.
So you've got people that come in that aren't from Buffalo.
Wow.
So they see 10 inches of snow and they're like, "Oh, 10 inches of snow!"
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, yeah, it's a Friday.
Yeah. Exactly.
Now, when you get what they got a couple of weeks ago in the snow belt, when you get 50 inches of snow with drifting, yeah, I mean, that's going to cause That's going to cause problems. But if you live in the suburbs of Buffalo, and that isn't directly in the snow belt. The snow belt,
yeah.
Snow belt really is from Highmark Stadium where the Bills play south. That's really the snow belt.
Okay.
And so Highmark Stadium can be in the snow belt that you see before, or it can be just above the snow belt.
Okay.
But you don't, not that it can't drift north into Buffalo, it does, but very rarely it does because the winds are mostly coming, from the northwest. And so that's why you have ski country. You get to the Boston Hills, into the Allegheny Hills and then mountains. And then you've got the wide area of Lake Erie and, the cold air is coming across the water and then boom.
Yeah.
The lake effect snow happens.
Right.
And then that's why people that don't know what a snow belt is. So I don't think, my dad, where he lives, lives northeast of Buffalo, and probably they had no snow when I talked to them yesterday. And so they probably have gotten 5 inches of snow, maybe all year, 5-6 inches.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
And they got some, I think about a week ago, and then it melted quickly. So, but it'd be cool to have even 1 to 3 inches of snow. Just a little bit of a white Christmas would be cool to have.
Yeah.
But I really don't need. When I was first out of town for a while, I had that, I got to have a white Christmas. Now it's like, I don't care. Is it going to affect my transportation? And I was just telling a few people yesterday that now, and I told you probably a few times on the air, now when the grass goes dormant here, where it turns from green to, which was strange for me when I moved down here, I'm like, why is the grass dying? It's like, it's not dying. Southern Bermuda especially turns dormant. And it's like, okay, that's my snow now.
All right.
That's how I view winter.
Right.
Being here as long as I've been here. So
Yeah.
I got this the other day too. I met somebody here and they said, well, you're not from Buffalo. I said, yeah, I am. Where's your accent? Oh, you lost it, huh? I went, no, I from Buffalo. I'm not from New York City. Yeah, but where's the accent? I'm from Buffalo, not New York City.
I get that when people ask me if I'm traveling, oh, you're from Texas. You don't sound like you're from Texas. Okay.
I'm going to head in the pickup and go throw some of the empties back.
Here's the problem.
Back in there and grab my rifle out of the rifle rack and head down to Huntsville to cheer on another execution.
Here's the problem.
Is that Texan enough?
I don't know how many guns are on your hip. If it's less than 2, that's not Texan. That's against the law in Texas. You're going to get sorry. They're going to pull you over just for that. You get pulled over in Texas, a police officer says, I'm sorry, is there a gun in the vehicle anywhere? And if you say no, you're going to jail. That's just the way it works. I could be wrong about that. Could be making it up right now.
Well, and I have to explain to people that Buffalo is much more of a Midwestern culture.
Yeah, I was born in Omaha at a very young age, and in Omaha, all I remember about Omaha, 2 things. The day my sister was born, my dad went to the door because we lived on Offutt Air Force Base, and he screamed out the door, and for years I thought he was just screaming to the world, it's a girl. Finally, after 4 boys, right? It's a girl. But he was actually screaming to our neighbors, if you know anything about base housing. It's like duplexes. But we were like in a little complex in this cul-de-sac. So there was this courtyard area, that had a little playground. It was great. And a handful of families lived there. And so my dad was actually shouting to the neighbors. And that's what I remember, along with the snow. Because we had this huge hill behind our house. It wasn't our backyard, but there wasn't a fence, so we could, take our sleds. And I remember that, and I only lived there until I was 4. But I remember those days. I don't remember whether it was White Christmas or not, or when, I only got 4 Christmases in, and the first 2 are kind of blurry. But it's, as a kid, you loved snow. But as you mentioned, later, it's like, okay, I got to get from A to B. So how much snow are we talking about? And in places in the Midwest or Buffalo, well, they're equipped to handle the snow.
Yeah, in the suburbs especially.
Yeah. Remember when we had the Super Bowl here and the ice hit?
Yep.
And it was I don't know if they got the forecast right or got the forecast wrong. I can't remember. I seem to remember they didn't get it right because TxDOT basically the Texas Department of Transportation had to borrow trucks from West Texas where they get more snow and ice, in the Panhandle, and they had to come out here and help clear the roads, to keep everybody safe. But it was at that moment about Jerry Jones' house there and hosting the Super Bowl, and so it was a big deal with a lot of extra people in town. But we just don't spend the money on that equipment because it doesn't happen very often. But I'm glad. Today I was out in the yard, or yesterday now, and just doing a little light work. I just wanted to be outside. It was so beautiful. Daniel, our postman, walks by with my mail.
Great day yesterday,
and we were talking about it, and we always have a nice little conversation when I'm out there, and he comes by and he goes, "Man, it's just beautiful weather." He goes, "It starts out chilly, but if you're out here and you're doing something, because they're walking, in his case, a lot, it's like, you just, it's not that bad even in the morning." We had frost again, and it's a very mild winter where we are typically compared to, of course, the Northeast, but I'm okay if that continues all throughout the winter season.
I was thinking about that coming into work just last night, because every time now from December all the way through to March, I'm like, let's just do another week without any ice. No ice storm, no sleet. No, let's see if we can get through.
Yeah,
and
right.
I keep looking at the long-range forecast going, okay, it's looking pretty good. Pretty good.
Right.
All right, we're past the new year now. It's looking pretty good. I've lived all over the country, and I always love it when they rate cities.
Yeah.
That's one of the dumbest things that the media does is rate cities.
Right.
Every single city I have lived in the United States, I have enjoyed myself. And you can look at every single city and say there are positives and there are negatives. Just like anything that you choose to do in life, it's no different.
Right. Yeah.
And, Buffalo, a great place. We're talking about, we're not including taxes and that type of thing.
Right. Yeah.
I'm just talking about the areas to live in and the people.
Right. Yeah.
I love, my home city of Buffalo. That will always be the number one home. And it's when you're in radio, you actually feel when you travel as much as I have and lived in so many cities, there are places where you feel comfortable in, even though it's not where you were born and raised.
Yeah.
Of course, Buffalo is, again, the place where, I go back and it's home because the family's there.
Right.
And friends are still there. And, you're so familiar with the geography. But Dallas is home.
Yeah.
If I go to Portland, and I know you're like, Portland, Oregon, really? I loved living in Portland, Oregon. Loved living in Portland. It was great. Now I didn't live in the downtown area. It's a wonderful part of the country. Great people I met there. I mean, just some of the best salt of the earth people you could possibly imagine. When I lived in Rockford, Illinois, for example, Money Magazine, when I lived in Rockford, Illinois, and worked at our great affiliate, WROK, had so much fun there. Wasn't there for a long time, just about a year. But I remember that Money Magazine always had them, this is one of the worst places to live. Well, my father was visiting one time. He had some kind of conference in Illinois, and I drove him around. I said, Dad, let me drive you around. I want you to see all the different architecture. And I drove him all around, the Rockford area. He goes, what a nice place to live. And I said, well, this is like the second worst place to live in America. And he looked at me My dad looked at me and said, if this is the second worst place to live in America, then God bless America. What a great country that we have. But anybody, any of my old listeners, still listeners.
Yeah.
I keep forgetting I'm still on the air there. And a few people who work at WROK or used to work there still remind me of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
They go, we remember you loved working here. And I said, oh, I absolutely loved that town.
Yeah.
And working in Chicago, love that. Working, and I mention it all the time, working in Florida, the Fort Walton Beach, Pensacola area, specifically Navarre. Absolutely love that area. I had thought, after I lived there, I thought that's where I'm going to retire.
Yeah.
And not that I won't, and I visit Tampa all the time. I got great friends in Tampa. But I love how it's a little bit more moderate when you get to the panhandle of Florida. You can actually get down to 40 degrees. And I like that. I like having, I like when it gets down to 40. Tomorrow night's supposed to get down to 30. It's supposed to be nice during the day. I love those kind of days too. But I will stay in Texas. If I decided to retire, I'm staying here. I love the weather here. Absolutely love it. It's not as extreme as people think. You have from middle of June to middle of September.
Mm-hmm.
But really, the real hot weather you may get the end of July through August.
I'd say right about as you get to mid-July to end of August, you price that in.
You price that in, but it's not a long time. When you realize you can have horrible winters that go November, December, January, February, March. You're talking 5 months up north to go through 5 weeks maybe of 105 to 110, and you don't always have those summers when you get 105 to 110. I don't believe we did last year, did we?
No, and in mid-July, I was in Iowa talking to a longtime friend, and just, the weather always comes up. And the question is, well, because it gets hot in Iowa too, but it's like, wow, but in Texas, and I'm like, nah, it's not that bad. And because I sleep during the day, I sleep through the worst heat.
Yeah. But I love the heat. Now, I can jump in the pool, which helps, but I love the heat. I love the mornings. I love the evenings. And when you look at it, when you take September to July, it's moderate here. It's not bad at all.
Yeah.
It's just and it's just you've got to get to, if you're not used to the, and like, to me, here's the thing though, 95 is not hot to me anymore.
No, when I see that, I'll see stories of, people in the Northwest or local news somewhere else. This is extreme heat. Then I'll say, well, what are they talking about? What's, 115 or what are we talking about? It's 95.
Well, in September, we had like 93, 94, 95-degree days, but the humidity drops drastically to like, 20%. And it's beautiful out. The sun's lower in the sky, and it feels like fall. And I went, wow, I love this. But I love this weather right now here. I love it.
Yeah.
It's just, and I don't mind snow. It's just when you have it every single day and you got to shovel it. Oh, and you have it November, December, in bad winters. And they don't always have bad winters up there.
Right.
But I've loved every place. Every place has positives and every place has negatives.
Yeah.
That's just the way that
exactly.
it is.
Exactly.
And as long as I don't step in a fire ant mound and I keep my lawn fire ant free, well, then that's not a problem either. Oh, did you see they've eradicated the murder hornets?
Have they? Or are they in hiding?
No, I saw that yesterday. I'll find the story. The murder hornets are gone from the United States. I just saw the headline. I got to read the story.
All right.
866-90 Red Eye.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
It's Friday Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Yeah, I just mentioned that I saw the headline yesterday. This story from NBC News: the so-called murder hornets have been eradicated from the United States. Officials announced yesterday, 5 years after the invasive species was first identified in Washington State. I mean, there was almost as much panic. Well, okay, not as much as the drone panic, but there was still panic about the murder hornets. Everybody was talking about it. The northern giant hornet has not been detected in 3 years, prompting officials to announce its eradication from the United States. Officials said the multi-year effort to eradicate the species, which began in 2019, involved extensive collaboration between state, federal, and international government agencies, as well as significant support. The department's the Washington Agricultural Director, Pest Program Manager, pointed to the public's health, noting that all of our nest detections resulted directly or indirectly from public reports. He added that half of all confirmed hornet detections also came from the public. We are proud of this landmark victory in the fight against the invasive species. The success of this effort demonstrates what's possible when agencies and communities unite towards a common goal, blah, 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 blah. How did you specifically do it, though? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, I got to know that plan.
Yeah.
But the problem is there's been a great concern over the massive surge in the population of white-collar crime hornets. Mostly in the finance sector. Yeah, it's still a problem.
You're listening to Red Eye Radio. Season's greetings from the Uniden America Studios.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Thanks so much for being here. Merry Christmas, everyone. We hope. This is a time. This is the weekend where everybody's going to be off, and I'm assuming. I didn't even see how many people they say are planning on traveling. It's got to be 60 million, something like that. I think
Probably
it is.
somewhere around there.
Yeah.
We'll do some traveling. Our folks just live my parents and my wife's mom a couple hours away. So at some point we'll have a couple of road trips probably. If things go as planned.
Okay, of course, it's always the busiest on record because, well, if you're not in a major depression or something.
Right.
Let me see. TSA expects to screen 40 million travelers between December 19th and January 2nd, a 6.2% increase from 2023.
Okay.
They predict that yesterday was the most crowded day to fly.
Thursday the 19th?
Thursday the 19th.
Wow.
Followed by Friday December 27th. I'll be flying that day.
Good luck.
Well, early in the morning I'll be flying out of Buffalo. So.
Mm-hmm.
And then Friday, December 20th. Today. Oh, that's today. So yesterday was the busiest. Next Friday, the second busiest. Today, the second busiest.
All right.
Or Friday is the third busiest. Wow. United is planning for its busiest holiday travel period ever. 9.9 million passengers expected between December 19th and January 6th.
Wow.
The airline said it's adding almost 500 more flights per day during its holiday travel period. Well, they had that. They figured that out months ago.
Right.
So let me see. The cheapest days to fly are Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. The busiest and most expensive days will be from Friday, December 20th through Sunday, December 22nd. I'm okay. I'm flying the 23rd, but it wasn't really expensive this year to fly. Not like it's been in other years. Most popular Christmas destinations: Buffalo. Okay, I'm kidding. Las Vegas, New York, and Orlando.
Okay. Las Vegas. All right.
Now, American should be pretty smooth. They got rid of DEI. You saw that, right? By the way, DEI is over. If American Airlines has dropped DEI, it's dead.
Yeah. Well, on the travel thing, I was told, I never went during this time of year, but in Vegas, it used to be, and I haven't been to Vegas in 10 years, but in Vegas, it used to be things were really light, because a lot of the shows and everything are, go dark, and there's nothing else except, what's going on in the casinos with gambling. But then December 26th, people start arriving because New Year's just is through the roof. I guess it's still that way, and it would be like a mom and pop vacation, if you have the empty nest thing going on, you have your Christmas with your family, and then boom, you're out the door. I wouldn't want to go during that time, during, a lot of people would call it amateur week, during New Year, leading up to New Year's Eve and everything else. Yeah. That's not what I'd want to do. I don't want to be where everybody's going. It's the thing to do. Okay, I'm going to go the opposite direction then, and but I do want to go. There are some areas I do want to go to. Talked about Lake Tahoe earlier. I haven't been during ski season. I'm not much of a skier, but I love ski towns. They're really great place to hang out during the winter because they can handle their winter, and there's a lot to do based on that. Having said that, I also like to travel around all the way around the lake, and getting around may be a little dicey depending on the weather.
Yeah, that's right.
Because sometimes they just get monstrous snow, and a lot of times actually. And so, you could have your vacation stalled by that. But I don't. For me, I try and keep everything off the calendar. My wife this is her busy season, year end.
Oh, yeah.
So not going to be much of a vacation, in terms of if we wanted to go anywhere, that's not going to be on the books. So it's really, for me, about resetting for the new year and, getting geared up in this case for a new administration, the new/old administration coming in, changing of the guard.
Well, I mean, that's, we're going to be going crazy. Thank goodness not. Well, a lot may happen in the next couple of days.
Yeah.
What's going to happen when it comes to, and we'll get to that. We talked about that early in the show, and we'll get to more of it coming up. See if anything happened overnight, or there's any new direction that the Republicans are going to go in. But one of the other news items out there from yesterday is Fani Willis disqualified. Yeah. And Jonathan Turley talked about this, and that's on the RICO case in Georgia, which we'll get to the specifics of it. But Jonathan Turley was on Fox News and talked about it yesterday and was asked, is this the end of that case because she was disqualified? Here we go.
Well, I think it might be in approaching that zombie state of living but dead. It depends on what the new prosecutor does, because even though this decision was based on the conduct of Willis herself, any new prosecutor would have to decide whether and what to prosecute. In my view, this RICO case against the president has been hopelessly flawed from the beginning. It's almost a RICO version of 6 Degrees from Kevin Bacon. I mean, they're sort of tying all these individuals to Trump with very little connections that most of us can see. I've never seen a RICO case like that. So many prosecutors might seriously want this cup to pass from their lips and to say, we're not interested here. But the immediate impact of this decision is overwhelming in terms of Willis herself. I mean, this court is basically saying that these cases are not supposed to be sort of vanity projects. You know, you were told by the lower court that you created this appearance of impropriety. And the question for the court is why you didn't remove yourself. Many of us at the time said that most prosecutors would have seen that their continuation of the case was harming the case and harming the public interest. Willis simply refused to give up the ghost and insisted she wanted to be the lead in this.
You know, the interesting thing is the number of Democrats that obviously were doing things that were so stupid that we recognize that end up destroying their own careers. You know, and just so people understand, we'll simplify it because Turley didn't get into the specifics of why the RICO case was so weak, and I've never seen, I don't think it's ever existed. There is no RICO case here. Forget about it's a weak case. Yeah. There is no case
at all. Yeah.
You know, RICO was formed. We'll try to simplify it. RICO came about because of the mob.
Right.
So what you looked at was a RICO made it easier to take a criminal enterprise, and that's an organization, a group that has no other purpose of existing except to commit criminal acts. That's it.
Right.
And that's the mob.
Right.
The mob doesn't exist for any other reason except as a criminal enterprise to make money illegally. That's it.
Right.
RICO is supposed to apply to that. That's why there was so much outrage when you had, especially the left, try to apply RICO to political causes. You know, RICO, for example, to abortion protesters. RICO was never, ever designed to do anything except go after the mob.
Right.
And you could justify RICO because you justified it because everything was involved as a criminal enterprise. So if the right hand didn't know what the left hand was doing, but was part of the criminal enterprise and the money flowed from one end to the other, you didn't have to prove that they both knew each other to make it a conspiracy.
Right.
The criminal enterprise portion of it, the fact that they were in that criminal enterprise is what would get them there. She's trying to make it that the Trump campaign was a criminal enterprise whose only existence was to do illegal things. And you can't make that case.
Right.
A campaign is part of a political party whose goal is to get somebody elected. If somebody commits an illegal act in there, you can't charge the entire group. It doesn't fit the definition of RICO.
Right.
You can prosecute that person, and you can say if there was a criminal act that was committed and there were 3 or 4 people involved, you could charge them with conspiracy, but you got to tie them to one another based on that particular criminal act. You've got to be able to connect the dots fully. So she's taking a law that was never meant to be used to prosecute it, and this is where the lawfare comes in. This is the weaponization of government. You attempt, you sit there as a prosecutor and say, okay, I know this wasn't the intent of the law, but I'm going to try it anyway. Maybe I can get a jury to convict, and bringing this against Trump and calling it RICO will ensure that he won't get elected again.
Right.
But her ego was so great. I mean, the conflict of interest, her and Wade, and having the affair and the money going back and forth. I mean, you couldn't have gotten something. You couldn't have made something that the conflict of interest was so bad.
Well, and it was blatantly obvious to everybody that was looking at it. You know, you didn't have these huge campaigns, even from the left, that were out there in these, surrogates going, oh, they've got him now. They've got him now. They've got him now. It was as if they were sitting back and watching all of these cases going, well, maybe this can happen. In the case of the Alvin Bragg thing, look, it took Alvin Bragg and Mershon, the judge, to pull that all together. And look at how many times they just skirted the rules.
Oh, by the way, the appeals court eviscerated the judge in this case, too.
Yes.
Remember the judge?
Right. Yep.
Said you should have never allowed this to go.
Exactly.
Both.
Well,
disqualified.
We said this on all of these cases. How in the world does any judge, well, you have to be on board, like Mershon is with Alvin Bragg. They're a team.
Yeah. The rot goes not just to the prosecution.
Exactly.
The rot goes right to the judges.
Exactly. Because any judge that knows anything about the law, that doesn't have a massive agenda and isn't a part of the rot, looks at all of these cases and says, there is no reason for you to be here. There's nothing here.
Yeah. You're making up law. You're putting up trial balloons.
Right.
Can we take a law that was meant for this, and can we find a jury that will convict, even if it will be overturned, obviously, on appeal, because the law doesn't match what was done. What was done doesn't match the law.
Their goal was trying to essentially wreck the re-election campaign or the election campaign for Donald Trump in 24. That was the entire goal. And it didn't matter if it was going to be turned over in appeals. And Mershon, look at what he did with the jury. Split it up however you like it.
Oh, yeah.
What in the hell?
I know. In this case, though, trying to make a campaign a criminal enterprise.
Exactly.
You just can't make that leap.
Nope.
Because the law was never intended for that.
Nope.
866-90 Red Eye.
Coming up, more with Gary McNamara and Eric Harley. It's Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. More in the Wall Street Journal article yesterday about Biden. Everyone knew. They all knew in the campaign, or they all knew inside of administration. They pathologically lied to the American public. They all knew that Biden's cognitive abilities were gone. Wall Street Journal reporting after talking to 50 people, sourced a story, 50 different people, that he couldn't even do national security meetings. It was that bad.
Right.
And one of the editorial piece I'm reading right here, why is he president right now?
Right.
It's a great question.
Exactly.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America. We are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Good morning. Merry Christmas, everyone.
Merry Christmas.
This is our last day of the year on the air. So
it is.
Yeah, we'll be off.
This is it. And you know, inevitably, something's going to fall. It's going to land Friday morning, this morning, later. Some kind of major news story. So, which is frustrating because we won't get to talk about it until January 2nd. We're back the night of January 1st into the morning of January 2nd. Thank you to Marconi Award winner Dan Mandis. Great guy. One of our listeners pointed out, hardest working guy in the industry, and I don't take any issue with that at all. He's definitely that describes Dan to a T. Always working. I mean, he's just always going.
You're not implying that I don't work, are you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Definitely. I wasn't implying. I was outright saying it. Yeah. I'd do a whole segment on it. It's but
you'd work very hard to prove that point.
Yeah. I'll do an extra Saturday show based on just that.
You'd be the hardest working person in radio just to prove I wasn't.
It's the only reason I don't do it, because it would require work of me. But it is an honor to have Dan available to us, in the fact that he's always willing and ready and very capable of covering whatever comes down while we're gone, and our audience loves him. And so we love him too. It's going to be great. And then we're back again the night of January 1st into the morning of January 2nd for a very long 2-day week, Thursday and Friday morning. And then we have a holiday in mid-January, like a couple of weeks later. But it's always frustrating when something happens. You know, we get out of here, whether for any of the vacations, and something lands on Friday morning, like boom.
Well, it's going to be crazy because we still haven't figured out what's going to happen in the whole the whole CR, whether the government will shut down over the holiday or whatever, or sort of shut down, because there really isn't a shutdown of government. But,
right, yeah.
This in the Washington Times, when we look at, okay, what are we going to come back to? President Biden will turn over a slowing economy and a rising employment rate to President-elect Donald Trump, the Congressional Budget Office said yesterday, describing the headwinds the new administration will face. The good news is that inflation will be tamed, falling to the target level of 2% by 2027, the CBO said.
Yeah.
How accurate you think that's going to be?
Right.
Let's remember that.
Yeah, let's write that down.
You know what I'll always remember? This is during the Obama administration, and I know you remember this. Remember where the White House economic forecast was coming out for GDP for the end of the year?
Mm-hmm.
And we just said, I forgot what the number was, but it was just ridiculously high.
Yeah.
It was like, 4.7% is what it's going to be during the next year. And we said, no, it's not.
Yeah.
And remember, I said, I'm going to guess. It's like beginning of January.
Yeah.
Said, I'm going to guess. I'm just going to throw out a number. I'm not going to look at any facts or figures or finances or durable, increase in durable goods or the service industry or tax policy. I'm just going to throw a number out.
Yeah.
And let's see how close I am. And I just threw out, I think it was 2.2% or something.
Yeah.
Then all these forecasts were coming out of what it was going to be. And I hit it exactly. I was absolutely correct. And I just picked a number out of the air.
Right.
Just said 2.2%, and it was 2.2%.
Yeah.
Whatever it was for that year.
Right.
You and I got the biggest kick out of that. It was like, oh, wow. See, I've got this natural feel for what the economy is doing.
Well, these over-bloated projections that we always get, it's like, it's not going to happen. Yes, I'm a pessimist, but still, I'm a skeptic, but still, it's not going to, it's not reality.
So the CBO expects the slowdown in economic growth coming out of the Biden administration and the rise in unemployment to lessen the demand for goods and services and contribute to a downward movement in inflation over the next 3 years. So the economy is going to tank. Huh?
Yeah.
By the numbers, the analysts said growth of real gross domestic product will slow from 2.3% this year to 1.9% next year and slip further to 1.8% in 2026 and 2027. If that's the case, then the Democrats take one of the branches in 2026, or one of the branches of the legislative branch.
Yeah. Yeah. There's the problem. This is we go back into the back and forth that's going on right now on spending within the GOP. That's what people are going to hear and see. And everybody, as you mentioned, the average person is looking for them the GOP, including Donald Trump, to bring prices down. That's not realistic. We said that long ago. Trump said it the other day. But they want to return to the buying power that they had when he was president the first time. That's a huge mountain to climb and overcome after everything that's happened in the last 4 years. But it is the reality. Perception is reality. And politically, that is the reality with many people. In their mind, their spending power on a personal level is going to, return to what it was. Well, they're expecting things to be fixed. Major things to be fixed. And if you can't make progress on campaign promises, and also the way that you carry out what's going on right now, we talked about it. With the speaker the other day, his lead should have been, we're working with Trump on this. Now it was reported they were talking to Trump, but you should be out there in front of people going, we're taking Trump's lead on his agenda. Then you finally get that done yesterday, and yesterday afternoon late, it was, we're going to get it to a vote. Trump wants this done tonight. Well, the problem is, you didn't go in as speaker. There was no time for a head count on that. No time for getting on the phone and whipping votes together. But you had to have known. You had to have known there were enough GOPers to wreck this thing. And now it's got Trump's name on it. And again, because the headlines were all, Trump wants it done tonight. He wants it done tonight. And Trump
look,
and Johnson were on board.
Yeah, but I don't.
So you've got. How do you not have?
But I don't put it just on Johnson. I say together there should have been Trump coming in saying, "Look, we need to do something. This is coming up in 4 weeks. We need to all be on the same path." With the speaker saying the same thing. I don't put this all on the speaker.
Well, I don't necessarily either, because I said yesterday that Trump needs to be your whip, whether he's actually making phone calls or not. But in the case where you've got, you're going to have more than enough GOPers to tank this thing that are fiscal conservatives hardcore, you're going to have to work harder at that. And it didn't happen. Look, they're up against the shutdown deadline,
right?
And that big fear thing that goes on there.
But Elon Musk was completely wrong when he said the blame is Democrats.
That's the first thing I said out loud was it's not on Democrats because they only got 2 votes in. No, or 2 votes for it. No. Look at what's going on. You're going to have to bring your own party together. The president has to bring his own party together. Soon to be president. We all know he's already president. He's the leader of the party.
The problem,
it's his agenda.
Right. The problem is here. It's exactly what we've said. That and what we warned. Look, let's temper down this excitement that we're going to cut $2 trillion off the budget, and this is and this is going to be done during the Trump administration, that you're going to be able to cut this. Saw Britt Hume wrote yesterday, he said, where's this $2 trillion going to come from, basically? We're not going to cut that when you take Social Security, Medicare, veterans benefits, defense, 70% of the budget.
Right.
70%. Mm-hmm. So if you're going to cut, so you've got the other 30 left, you're going to cut that all out completely? Is that all going to be gone? Mm-hmm. No, it's never going to happen. And so we had said, before you jump up and down, now, if it does happen, I'll be the happiest person alive. But look at the manure show that we have right now over a continuing resolution for 3 months.
Yeah.
You have, this was shot down by 38 Republicans, many of them who have bought into the fact that the incoming administration is serious about cutting. And they're furious that Trump is pushing, it wants the debt ceiling raised now instead of when he becomes president, and you negotiate that to cut spending. They're furious that over $110 billion is going to be spent and it will go right to the debt, and they haven't paid for it.
Right.
And what they're saying is this isn't a thing where you've got, liberals out there or the moderate Republicans, typically who you'd call the rhinos. That's not the problem. These are people that want to cut. Nancy Mace voted no.
Right.
And so this whole thing, and you and I said, well, wait a minute. The first one wasn't going to pass. If the second one didn't get 38 votes that were needed from Republicans, the first one wasn't going to pass.
Right.
Where the heck was the White House if they were involved in this? The White House and Speaker Johnson.
Or the transition team and Speaker Johnson.
What'd I say?
White House. I mean, he's not completely moved in yet.
Thank you so much.
There's still some more furniture he has to bring in.
The transition team.
Yeah. I know. No, it's Stephen A. Smith.
But they should have been together, and they should have whipped and known what they had.
Yep.
They should have known what they had a week ago on this, because they've been negotiating this for weeks. And the incoming president and the transition team have been involved in it. So to let it get to this point, they didn't need to get it. They didn't need to get to this particular point. Now, I don't expect that you're going to get everything. They're going to do the emergency spending for the hurricane.
Yeah.
It's the debt ceiling. Well, they didn't discuss and get this stuff because it's the debt ceiling that's really holding everything.
Yeah.
That's what's holding it.
Yeah.
And you've got not liberal rhinos that are furious at the president of the Republican Party. It's the conservatives that want to actually cut and want to do what the president says he has appointed to his special commission, Ramaswamy and Elon Musk, to cut.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We'll play the audio cut of the day coming up a little bit later on. It's Chip Roy.
Mm.
And, you and I looked and said, whoa, you can't have the surrogates all over X saying, all right, we got a primary Chip Roy because
he's a never-Trumper.
He's a never-Trumper
He's
because
a rhino.
He actually wants to cut the budget.
Yeah. Doesn't work.
It's not going to work. So, yeah, but that's the problem when you come out. When you come out and say, we're going to cut $2 trillion off the budget every year. Well, you're going to excite the daylights out of people like Chip Roy, Nancy Mace, and others that say, all right, we're going to do it. We're really going to cut. And then when all of a sudden you said, well, no, I don't want this unless it has, the debt ceiling raised. And they go, well, no, because we're not getting anything for that. We need to get something for that. To raise the debt ceiling, we want to cut the Inflation Reduction Act.
Right.
We want all that stuff for climate change gone.
Right.
And if you raise it now, we have no leverage down the road.
Right.
It's a solid point.
Yep. And I don't know what happens. I don't know what happens today. I don't know where it goes. Because what do you do for the fix?
Well, as you said they had to see this coming.
Well, that's the whole thing. How did they not? Because Johnson goes to the transition team. Well, then the transition team's first question, which the answer should be known, who's on board for this new version? Because the word got out that, and Trump posted something about, it's this is going to be this Speaker Johnson essentially, this new bill is going to be good for America. His rubber stamp on it. And then it was, Trump wants it done tonight. Well, in that entire process, my first question for Johnson, this new version, we have any issues within the party? You don't have the margin to play around here. You don't. You just don't. Where's the head count?
You should have never brought it up for a vote.
I don't know how it happens.
To get defeated by your own party.
I don't know how that happens.
Yeah. Well, they should. I don't think it.
They were out.
But see, the only thing I would say that I would not disagree, but I would change is the fact that they should have discussed the debt ceiling a month ago.
Oh, yeah.
That's my point. It should have never gotten to the point of this one to the next one.
Exactly.
They should have figured this out a long time ago and compromised however they had to compromise and get everybody on board 2-3 weeks ago.
Right.
There seemed to be no organization to this there was communication between the White House, but there seemed to be no plan. 866-90 Red Eye.
Brought to you by Hot Shot Secret.
Hi, I'm Jen Loomis, a transport safety expert at JJ Keller, and I'm here to share a tip on speed and space management. In order to manage speed, you need to understand the 4 factors involved in stopping a vehicle. Perception distance is the distance a vehicle travels from the time you see a hazard until your brain recognizes it. The perception time for an alert driver is approximately 3/4 of a second. Reaction distance is the distance a vehicle travels from the time your brain tells your foot to move from the accelerator until your foot hits the brake pedal. The average driver has a reaction time of 3/4 of a second. Brake lag distance also needs to be taken into account. When operating a vehicle with air brakes, it takes about half a second for the mechanical operation to take place. Finally, braking distance is the distance it takes a vehicle to stop once the brakes are applied. Braking distance is affected by the weight, length, and speed of the vehicle, as well as road condition. This tip was brought to you by JJ Keller and Associates. Visit us at jjkeller.com.
Lines open for your calls. 866-90 Red Eye on Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. And that's why over the last couple of weeks we have warned, especially, with the celebratory nature of, Elon Musk and Ramaswamy. And I'm sure there is a lot of celebration, especially from conservatives who say, okay, they can't cut $2 trillion, but if they cut $200 billion off the budget, that would be great.
Right.
That's why we said this is going to be awfully hard to do so, because what they wish to do is nothing compared to this CR, which is just minor compared to what actually has to be done.
Happy holidays. Have some eggnog. Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Okay, again, every time we play Christmas music, I forget I'm doing a talk show.
Yeah, and the big guy said, have some eggnog. You once said that's like your crack. You love eggnog.
The store-bought eggnog, I have no idea why a lot of people hate it. To me, I think that I have an addiction to it. And it's not good for me because it's full of sugar.
Well,
but I absolutely love it. That I do cheat during the holidays on my diet, on my carbs with that, because it's so good. But the thing about it is, whatever's in it, like I could drink it all day. I probably could drink it all day and get sick.
Yeah.
Because after I have another glass, I don't know whether it's a physical addiction.
You can't stop, basically.
I can't stop. It's great.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about, with alcohol in, because I've had it. I've had it. Eggnog. What do you put rum in it? I guess.
Yeah. I don't know why you would want to run the rum, but yeah, sure.
Oh,
I don't know what they put in it, rum or
no. Can have nothing in it. Just the eggnog.
Yeah.
The sugar is heroin enough for me.
Drink your rum and then later have some eggnog, or vice versa.
I'm not really a big rum fan.
It's not good on its own. Rum's not one of those drinks you can sip on.
The worst is gin.
Yeah.
But getting back to other news.
All right.
Ready for this?
All right.
Here we go. Now, this, I haven't heard anything go boom on this one yet. Mark Lazarus, who is the head of Spinco. Spinco is the result of Comcast spinning off multiple channels into a separate company that includes MSNBC, has suggested in private conversations over the past month in his new role that he would like MSNBC to incorporate more Republican voices and conservatives into its programming.
Okay.
People familiar with the matter told Status.com. Lazarus has reportedly told people he wants to change the public's perception of MSNBC, that Republicans are treated unfairly on the network.
Okay. It's the public's perception is the problem.
The public's perception.
It's not the reality.
Right.
It's the public's perception. Okay.
He has oh my God! I mean, Rachel Maddow's going to freak out over this one.
Mm-hmm.
He has reportedly indicated that he doesn't want content from hosts and commentators that may unnecessarily spawn bad press and alienate Republican viewers.
Unnecessarily.
Oh, my God. Now, this is, by the way, I am receiving my Christmas present right now reading this article. Now, here's, you want a tightrope? You want the definition of a political tightrope or a media political tightrope?
No.
Let me repeat that last sentence and go to the next sentence, all right?
Okay.
Here we go.
All right.
He has reportedly indicated that he doesn't want content from hosts and commentators that may unnecessarily spawn bad press or alienate GOP viewers. However, he has indicated that he wants the Progressive Channel to retain its core identity. Whoa! I'm balancing. I got both arms extended out as I'm trying to walk on that tightrope.
So what he's saying is they're talking to Chris Wallace. Mitt Romney and Chris Wallace.
Oh, my gosh.
All right. Yeah. Wait for it.
So you want to keep the core identity that it has now, which is we're insane.
Yeah.
And at the same time, not alienate Republican voters or viewers, excuse me.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Wow. Let's see. So, however, he's indicated that he wants the Progressive Channel to retain its core identity, and there is no indication that top talent on the network, such as Rachel Maddow, will be asked to change the makeup of programming. Then you're going to alienate Republican viewers.
Yes.
Look,
they don't get it, do they?
We need to find a way to say Hitler and fascist in a more technical way.
Right. Yeah. What did Bill Clinton call the whole identity politics thing? Inclusive something.
Tribalism.
Inclusive tribalism.
Inclusive tribalism.
Yeah. Okay.
I like to say that I've been involved with some women, and we've had some inclusive tribalism, and it's been a fun time.
We just, people don't understand it. People don't understand what you're saying, Bill.
I asked Hillary, can we get involved in some inclusive tribalism?
Hey, listen.
By doing that, it sounds dirty. And by
Anything
the way,
in the Clinton voice sounds dirty.
yeah. Merry Christmas.
Well, I mean, even
Jeez.
ordering at McDonald's, can I get a number 2 with a Diet Coke? I'm sorry, what? You can't do that here? Wow. Yeah.
And so it says Lazarus is reportedly considering a more news-oriented daytime lineup that could incorporate conservative voices, while the prime time is made up of progressive opinion content. Status reports that it may be difficult to get voices from the magasphere onto the network, and that old-school conservatives who appear on MSNBC and are honest about calling out Trump lies are dismissed as part of the resistance. The report added that executives like Lazarus really want more MAGA-friendly voices on the air.
Oh, come on. No, you don't.
Status's Oliver Darcy said that Lazarus is likely thinking of making MSNBC into something like CNBC, the business news sister channel of MSNBC. So what they're saying is, hold it, you know what I'm going to do with this article? Ready? Here we go.
What? Yeah.
They're completely clueless. They have no idea what to do.
Well, when you think unicorns are real, it'd be great. We'll have pro-MAGA on one side and, I'm sorry, repeat the first play. Just go back to the first part. Repeat that again. You're not going to have, that's not going to be living under an MSNBC brand and then retain essentially its liberal street cred if it still hasn't.
Well, if they have to change the name of the channel, doesn't that give you the opportunity to do whatever you want at that point?
Well, I was going to say, if you're starting a new network, but are you bringing everybody over from the old network? Because then it's going to be the whole thing like X, formerly known as Twitter. It's going to be whatever cable news, formerly known as MSNBC. You're not going to lose the identity when you say we don't want to lose the identity. Well, you're not gonna. It's the same players. It's the same liberal mindset. And then you're saying, oh, but we'll interject some pro-MAGA. No, you won't. Who's going to let that on the panel?
Well, I have an idea. Give Rachel Maddow, for example, a co-host, and it'd be the Rachel Maddow Mark Levin show.
Oh. Yeah.
By the way, Mark stays up late a lot of times and he listens. He's probably going, no way!
I'm going to get these two fired.
Could you imagine?
Eric and Gary are done.
No, Mark can handle any situation, but that might even be too much for him. His head might explode.
Oh, my gosh. Oh. But, it's the left isn't going to, they're not, we're going to open the door and be more inclusive. Your entire identity, as he calls it, is to shut down opposition and even dissent from your own side.
Yeah.
You're busy creating victims all day long, and you're going to bring the Hitler side over?
I know, I have a better one. Joy Reid, Mark Levin.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh. All right. Man, I don't even want to watch that one. I think I'd be sweating. It's going to happen. It's going to happen.
They don't. I'm telling you, they don't know what to do.
Yeah,
they don't. And you've seen. Look, I think that CNN. When Scott Jennings on, it's great, but it's 5-1.
Yeah,
and the audio clips are good, but if you watch the entire thing, that's going to turn off any conservative.
Right.
Which it has. I mean, their numbers are as low as they can go.
Right.
They're as low as they've ever been. And they've added on Scott Jennings, and he's done great and got a great reputation, but mostly it's from the audio cuts that people see, which is a short 1-minute segment. They don't see that it's dominated still by the insane left.
Right. And, again, we keep hearing this from the left. We heard it in 2016 from the liberal activists in the media. We need to travel to the flyover states and spend some time there. And then all of a sudden it was like, oh, nope, we were wrong. We're not doing that. They're not about to change anything. You want to maintain your liberal street cred. I don't know how you get liberals back in terms of your audience, because clearly they've lost a bunch. And I don't think it's because they all converted to MAGA. It's because they're not getting the job done. They're lame. Look, Jon Stewart, for years on The Daily Show, people were laughing. And now when he's back on Monday nights and pointing out, how crazy it is on the left over and over again, I do think a lot of people on the left, they're not going to change how they vote. But they see this radical left and they see the radical media, and they don't want any part of it because it's not going anywhere. It might be different if the Democrats as a party were winning in landslide territory or just winning, on across the board, even if not landslide. But they're not winning anymore. And I think that's why you're seeing the exodus. I think a lot of liberals, it's like, was it Maureen Dowd that said it? Close the doors, turn off the TV. When there's bad news, and November 5th was a lot of bad news for them.
Well, every day.
Yeah, and now since, exactly.
Yesterday, the Fani Willis thing, the Wall Street Journal, story. You saw Chris Cillizza, right?
Mm.
Formerly of CNN, and then is he still at the Washington Post? I don't even know.
I don't know if he is.
But he came out and basically apologized. Oh, I should have said more about Biden and his cognitive abilities. It's like, stop it.
Right.
I mean, they don't have any good days.
No, they don't.
866-90 Red Eye.
Get in touch with Red Eye Radio, toll free at 866-90 Red Eye.
It's Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. After the Wall Street Journal article yesterday on Biden, which again, as I just told you, Chris Cillizza came out and said, "Well, I apologize for it. He was just mocked viciously.
Yeah.
Because like, stop it, everybody. What do you mean? I should have done more. No, you didn't, because Meghan McCain went after him. Right. Meghan McCain said, you went after my father and called him old at 71. Yeah. You didn't say anything about Biden because you're a hack. Oh, she put that on X. I was laughing. But this one here, National Review, this headline. After the Biden revelations, of what value is the mainstream political media?
Oh. Wow.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One.